Hello everybody and welcome back, and for those of you who are new, I'm Maddie and I'm a third-year audit trainee at a Big Four audit firm. It's now September and I've got 3 months to go until I qualify as a chartered accountant, which seems wild because literally yesterday I made my video on my first day at a Big Four audit firm. So it's crazy, but I've been reflecting a lot on the past 2 years and 9 months of my time as an audit trainee. And I have to say that looking back, it really has been a very rewarding time. It's been a time that I've really enjoyed, and I don't think that's a coincidence. I think there were certain changes that I made that made the 3 years a whole lot less hellacious than they could have been, and I thought it might be nice to just share some advice with you guys, especially if you are going through a rough time on your articles journey. So I'd really like this video to be an honest conversation. I don't want to beat around the bush in any sense. Auditing articles are tough, and I think this should be a community to express that and offer advice on how to overcome a lot of the issues that I think we all face. So I'm going to be tackling a lot of what I think are the major stresses in the auditing articles experience. But if you guys have any extra ones you want to add, or if you think I'm missing anything, then please just add in the comments. I really love hearing from you. But yeah, otherwise let's get into how I made these past 3 years the best 3 years of my life. Let's be real, auditing is super stressful. By nature, it's super stressful. We have crazy deadlines, we work a lot of overtime, and we're dealing a lot of the time with really difficult people, and be it trainees or managers, people that maybe aren't so good at managing their stress, and this puts pressure on us. If this sounds relatable, then trust me, I've been in your boat many a time. And look, I think auditing firms can do a lot to improve the auditing articles experience, but I'm not going to approach the video from that angle. I think there are some adjustments that we can make, or definitely that I've made, that have made my articles experience a lot easier. So I'm going to chat through those adjustments. Firstly, setting boundaries. I've spoken about this ad nauseum, but I can't emphasize it enough. Be it in your professional career or in your personal life, you need to be able to set boundaries and to say no. It's beyond important. Please, guys, get it tattooed on your head. Setting boundaries is essential. It's a fact of life. If you don't set boundaries, people will always take advantage of you. And time again, I've seen trainees who fail to say no, fail to set boundaries, and this causes them to fall apart completely and really just despise their articles experience. And a classic example of this is the trainee-manager relationship. Say your manager messages you on Teams and says, hey, you've got to clear the 70 review notes I just raised to you by the end of the day. There's no overtime and I need you to do it in your own time. Look, this is clearly an example of a manager who doesn't know how to manage their own time, because if they did, they wouldn't be reviewing so late. But it doesn't help anyone to simmer in this rage and feel like angry and frustrated and I hate articles, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to help anyone, and it's not going to make you feel any better. So yes, this is an impossible situation, but there are 2 ways of dealing with this. Firstly, you could work that overtime that the manager is clearly expecting you to do, and you can feel very sad and feel very stressed and just hate articles in general. Or you message that manager and politely say, hey, so-and-so, I'm at capacity at the moment. I'm happy to work overtime if the budget allows for it. Otherwise, please ask my other manager if I can work for 1 day to clear my review notes. And yes, option 2 is totally terrifying, especially if you and your manager don't gel so well, but it's a completely reasonable request and ensures that you've set this boundary so that you don't get trampled over. And one of the qualms I do have with these big corporate environments is that a lot of the time option 1 is promoted because trainees don't say no, and this enables managers to take advantage of the fact that other trainees said yes to doing overtime for free, and this just promotes this toxic cycle. I think you can start now by setting your boundaries so that this doesn't happen in future. So learn your no from the beginning and stick with it. And before I move on, I do have to distinguish between the first scenario and one where you have let your review notes pile up and you didn't project manage as well as you should have. I think a big part of growing up and being responsible is taking accountability for your work when you should have. In that sort of scenario, really you should take some time out of your day to just get on top of your admin. It really isn't fair on the rest of your audit teammates that have to pick up your slack. But that's another story. Adjustment 2 is dealing with difficult people. Statistically speaking, you are going to deal with a lot of people that you just don't gel with. And that could be a partner, a manager, trainees, or even the client. And a big important lesson in business is how to deal with this. And I think it's especially difficult when it is someone in your audit team, because you do end up spending so much time with them. So whenever I encounter someone unpleasant to work with, I always just keep in the back of my mind, this person is a real person outside of this auditing environment, and they probably have something going on in their personal life to make them act like this. And I think once you've got that in your brain, it's like, well, I don't have to take this personally. So-and-so is just having a bad day. It's not my issue. I must just act with kindness towards them. And I think kindness in this scenario always goes a long way. You never want to say something mean to someone and then just feel nasty about it. I'm a pretty anxious person, and I think that most of my issues with people come from me being avoidant about issues. So I'll get irritated that they're not acting a certain way, but I won't say anything, and I just let this frustration boil up, and then it just becomes this whole issue of resentment and just general bad vibes. And I'll be the first to say that's not a healthy way of dealing with issues at all. Yeah, it's really important to be able to have difficult conversations with people. So folks, if someone is bothering you, be it a manager or trainee, just pop them a message and say, hey, can we have a coffee? Let's chat about it. Because that is such an important skill to learn now, and you'll feel so much better going forward. It will make these years so much easier for you. And then thirdly, building relationships. I'm sure all of you have heard that business is politics, and I think for a large part that is absolutely true. The fact is that as an audit trainee, you are like the smallest fish in the biggest pond. And it's really important to build connections so that you are at least somewhat noticed. You know, the converse of this is spending 3 years of your articles with your head down and not making friends with anyone and not building connections. And you'll come out of there pretty much unchanged, not having learned anything and not having interacted with anyone. Whether auditing is for you or not, you know, I can't stress enough how important it is to build connections. You don't know beyond auditing whether this person will be able to assist you in life. And during articles, it's really important to make friends with people in general because hey, maybe you'll need to pull in a favor one day. For example, I can't express how much easier my 3 years have been because I've helped out a lot at my firm's events, like making videos or assisting at, we have this really awesome program for university students where they come and they learn all about auditing, and I help out a lot at that. And it's so cool. Like, not only do I get to interact with uni kids, I also build relationships with more senior people, and that's really helped, this is cringy, but it's helped my personal brand. And that's been really important to me. You know, if I go into office, people know who I am, and that's great. If I do need any favors, or I don't know, maybe if I'm going on to a new client, that manager is more inclined to respect me a bit more because other managers know my work and they know my brand and they can vouch for that. So definitely, if there are events happening at your office, put your hand up and engage. Don't spend these 3 years just, you know, blinders on and getting through your 8 hours, because you're not going to grow at all as a person. You know, but also beyond building political relationships, making friends is really important. I think I've been on some crazy stressful clients, and the only way I've gotten through that, or a big part of that, is making friends with my teammates, be it having Taylor Swift album listening parties or coloring in. I really like making sure that I'm building relationships with my trainees so that it's not just this like, do this. You know, it's a really, we're friends, you know, we are peers, and there's a lot of respect in our relationships. So I've definitely made it my MO to bond with my fellow trainees, whether they like it or not, but I found that a very rewarding thing to do. Then pointer number 4 is to think beyond auditing. I think another issue with people who do their articles is that they say, well, I don't like auditing, so I'm just going to get through these 3 years. This is a complete waste of time. I'm going to just, you know, put my head down and just meh. I'll start off by saying life is short, guys, and you shouldn't ever be wasting your time doing anything. You know, I'll be the first to say that I don't think auditing is my cup of tea, and that's fine. But there are so many aspects of my job that I do find rewarding and stimulating. For example, I really like tech, and I really enjoy like learning how to code and doing data analysis. And I found like on my bigger clients that do have these large data sets, I've made it my MO to learn how to code so that I can handle the big data and do cool things, and it makes my auditing a lot better and a lot easier. And now I've become a go-to person for that sort of thing for my audit teammates. They're like, Maddie, we need a way of making this file, this format, so that, and I will code a way of doing that. And it's not something I knew off the bat. I definitely did take opportunity to learn how to code on R and use VBA so that I could assist with my audits. And if you're in the boat where you are saying that articles is not for me, I'm not going to put in any effort, then I have this to say to you. Articles are for 3 years. This is a long time. So focus on the aspects that you do enjoy and hone in on those skills. So if you enjoy project management, then hone in on that, because that is a really important skill. Being able to manage an audit or whatever sphere you're in your CA articles, being able to manage people and admin and everything is very essential. Don't give up on their whole experience just because it's not for you. And then secondly, take opportunities to learn. Maybe chat to other streams in the business, so like tax and consulting, see what they're up to. Maybe that interests you more. And do some online courses that align with your job. I know at my firm we do have like a master's program where you can do extra courses, and that's been really cool. I've done one in machine learning. Very helpful. But basically, don't let these 3 years just be a waste of time for you. Take every opportunity to learn, because it is an incredible time to learn. You know, you want to come out of your articles not just the same as everyone else, because essentially that you end up with the same qualification. You want to set yourself apart, and you want to end your 3 years being like, I know how to walk into an important conversation with someone. I know how to have a difficult conversation with someone. I've learned this technical skill and this and this and this. And you have some sort of idea of where you want to go in life if you think that auditing is not for you. And then lastly, number 5, it's not the end of the world. If you don't meet your deadlines, if your manager's mad at you, if you mess up on a workbook, it's not the end of the world. No one's going to die. It's all good. You'll come through this perfectly fine. And I think this ties in a lot with setting boundaries. But the moment you are able to say no, because it's not the end of the world, I think you're doing okay, you know. And it's a very cool skill to have learned now in your career. And I learned this the hard way in my first year. I've touched on this a bit before, but in my first year, my brother passed away. And I remember the week before it happened, I was so stressed about work, and that's all I was thinking about. And then when I did get the call from my dad, it was like suddenly something flipped inside of me, and I was like, well, work's actually not that important, and I've just got to focus on my family and myself. And I hope for all of you it's not something that serious that flips your switch, but you realize now that just because you miss a deadline or you're not working as your manager wants you to, whatever, it's not the end of the world. You come first. Your well-being is so much more important than deadlines and work. And really, guys, seriously, don't let these 3 years become a time that you are so resentful and sad and depressed because you are not setting those boundaries and you're not saying no, and you're not taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself is so essential. So please make sure you're getting enough sleep, make sure you're exercising, you're seeing your friends and family, because I swear there are so many more important things than, I guess, auditing articles and work, and whatever the case might be, there are more important things. Sorry, I feel like this video has been all over the place. I think the reason that a lot of people don't have the best 3 years of their life is because stress gets to them. So I know I've spoken a lot about stress, but I do think stress is a major factor in why you're not having the best time of your life. So honestly, the moment I got better at managing my stress, everything just fell into place, and I've really enjoyed these 3 years a lot. But if there's anything you guys want to add, if I've missed something out, or if you have any advice to share with other trainees, then that's so awesome. Please add it in the comments. But anyways, thanks so much, guys, for watching. For those of you writing APC, best of luck. I know some of you are getting your board course results now. I'm sure you all do very well. I'm hoping to make a video on APC exams if that will help you. But otherwise, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.